Hey, bro, we're just here in Las Vegas. We finished the boot camp, and we wanted to share this bit of content with you that's going to completely transform your dating life. We've got Mr. Silverfox here and Chris. These are some of the best guys in the dating field. And Chris here, he's completely transformed his dating life through coaching.
In the last 2 years? Over the last 2 years?
It's been about 3.5.
Pretty radical transformation.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. We're going to go over that, and you're going to get some incredible fucking content. Always get this from students, is coaching worth it? Most people think that dating should just, and masculinity, a good understanding of it, should just naturally be taught in schools, or just people think that you should know this stuff. That is not how it fucking works. It's not how it worked for me, or for you, or for you. People don't naturally know how to date. It is a skill that you can learn, the same as dancing and Spanish and cooking. They're just skills that you learn, and that's what we teach guys. But the question is it really worth your time and money to get a dating coach? What's going to transform in your life? And I guess what's going to be when you're living in the promised land? What's it like? And Chris is like the perfect guy to talk to about this. Take it away, Dr. Chris. I feel like you need a color. If I'm Silver Fox, you should be like,
oh no.
You need a second word. Can we think of a quick second word? Okay, we're here with Dr. Chris. Sounds so official.
Yeah, it's very official.
He wasn't a doctor before he was good with
I am a doctor as of this very moment.
At this moment.
You are Chris.
What's your specialty?
Or ordained.
What's your speciality in the medicine world?
We're all thinking something that we're not going to say because we don't want to block them.
Yeah.
Okay. So in all seriousness, Sir Chris, tell me the Chris before, in like a couple minutes, the Chris before, the Chris now, how did coaching help you transition that? And how do you think or act differently in with women and more broadly, just kind of in general?
By the way, I just wanted to say, since you've done all this training and you've become so charismatic, even now, you have this charisma. And there was a girl right in front of us. She was totally checking you out as you were speaking to the camera. So I just wanted to share that with the guys.
Also, before coaching, Chris had no chest hair. And it just magically began to appear about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. He got his Daygame and his understanding about masculinity down, and all of a sudden his body started sprouting all this fucking incredible hair and making me feel insecure
guys,
about the fact that I can't grow very good.
Guys, if you want chest hair, then we have a product for that. So you can find the link below.
For $9.99, 2 cans. Masculinity fur grower.
Masculinity.
It's called Black Panther.
It's called masculinity.
It's Black Panther and gasoline mix.
50% of the time, it works every time. Okay, so talk louder, but tell me. So before you were the quiet, introvert, nice guy.
Yes.
Okay, and then you did more than one boot camp, no?
So I did a boot camp here in Vegas.
Cool. 5 days?
Just
3 days?
3 days.
3 days.
Just like
how long ago?
That was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Just like shattered everything.
And then you did a 7-day boot camp.
And
then that was like the double boom.
Yes.
Total transformation.
So it wasn't immediate. Like it was like still breaking down all these like lies that I was telling myself and all this negative attitude that I had that nobody was making me doing, and like really forcing me to take responsibility for the mistakes I had made. And like if I want to grow, it gave me the ability to look at myself like, all right, well, I know what to do now. And it's as simple as going out and putting it into practice.
So how has your life changed as far as like how do you date now in comparison to how would you date before? And then also you can say say that because I can't think of the other question.
All right, let me go.
Yeah.
Actually, what I wanted to add here is that Chris is actually here to help the clients, the students, and so he's a trainer that we trained in
trainer in training.
Trainer in training. Yeah. So I just wanted to add that here because it's really important for the guys to know the transformation that's possible. Because what's funny is when I started actually doing this stuff, and actually when I went to my coach and I got coaching, not in a million years I thought I'd ever become a dating coach. Totally. I was just trying to get girls. I was like, all I want It's just to get successful with women.
Yeah, and you had like 4 years ago, and then literally somebody mentored you into it, and then when
Yeah.
you began seeing the changes in you, he took you on board to mentor you into being a coach as well.
Totally. And I fell into it completely by accident. Around 5 years ago, I got a coach to work with me. And after about a year, he actually started mentoring me on how to coach as well. When I really transformed my dating life and I started getting good results, he said, oh, actually, you've got such a great results that why don't you start helping other guys? And I was like, what? I can actually help people? And I actually went there and started coaching. I was like, fuck, I didn't even know that I can do that. And yeah, what I wanted to say here is that right now you might be in a situation where you're like, man, I'm in this fucking shithole, I'm like masturbating every night and I just can't attract any girls, right? It's not going to be like that.
Was that hypothetical, or is this confessional?
This is a confession.
That's my confession as well. Like, I actually gave that feedback on the original boot camp. Like I was literally about to fucking jack off. And like, I just had one of those moments like,
and then a girl just flew into your lap.
I was on the edge of like purchasing the boot camp, and I was literally like setting up with the computer and like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why?
So guys, if you want to learn how to masturbate, we're gonna do another video on that.
how to do it in masculine. With each
masculine.
So what's your dating life like now? 3 years later, let's say 10 days of coaching under your belt. 3 years later, what's typical for you?
So the biggest difference is I used to feel like unworthy of beautiful women, and now it's not only do I have the confidence and like the true feeling of self-worth, but I have the skills to actually apply and like communicate and connect and actually search and filter out a woman that not only I want to spend time with, but is worth my time.
And then on top of that, you have the actual, I don't mean stories, but you have the actual the times where it actually happened. You walked up to her, you said, hey, blah, 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 blah. You started connecting with her, you dated her, you were telling me about the flight attendant you were dating. And then you've got an actual story.
By the way, I just wanted to say one thing here. So we were doing a session, and Chris was with me with another 2 students, and we saw this absolute hottie walking past. And Chris goes, oh, that was my ex-girlfriend. And Chris was so embarrassed to say hello to her. And I was thinking, man, she's beautiful. And
you went up to her and then took her out for drinks? No, I'm kidding. Take it easy, we're good guys.
No, what I wanted to say here is that she was like, if it was any other guy, they would be like running so desperate, like, oh, she's hot, like I lost her, I need to get her back. And Chris was just like trying to like avoid her. And she was so hot. And that's where the abundance comes from, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, she was beautiful, amazing woman. But I wasn't feeling it, and I didn't feel the need to stay in it, even though it didn't feel like natural. It didn't feel like I was supposed to be there, and I ended the relationship.
So you were being selective on a much higher level.
I was being selective,
than simply, wow, she's gorgeous, the sex is
3
great,
years ago,
whatever,
I would have
right?
fucking murdered to get back with her. Like, no question. Like, that she would have been the absolute hottest.
So if you hadn't got coaching to get you there faster, Never. Yeah.
No, I like literally spent 3-4 years reading books and making notes and trying to make my own shit, and never went out. Like, I went out a couple times, but didn't do anything.
Hard.
So what is it about coaching that made you, take that?
So I think one of the biggest things was it was the like-minded people in a non-judgmental atmosphere where like we're all trying to grow and improve, and we're like, this is not this is not a toxic. We're not doing this to hurt women. We're doing this because we want to be.
Women are fucking incredible.
We want to be better
Imagine
men.
having a pool of more incredible men that understand how to date them properly,
right,
treat them properly, and have better relationships with them.
Exactly.
What the fuck is talking about that?
Exactly, and the kind of environment where if you're literally here to fail over and over again until you can get through those roadblocks and overcome and grow, and no matter what, you're not, like, nobody's going to be putting you down. They're going to be pushing you to break yourself down, but they're not going to be putting you down. And that's the big difference between approaching with a coach and, with your buddies. And, you failed. But if you don't know what to do, that can be a little intimidating. But with a coach, they're going to be like, no bullshit, stop making excuses, and they're going to keep pushing you until you push through. And then as soon as you make those breakthroughs, under that mentorship, you're going to be able to make so much more progress, not only overcoming issues, but being able to be grateful for what you've accomplished. Because most guys I meet here are super hard on themselves, have a really hard time appreciating
Very perfectionist.
like the little pieces that they like. You've never done this before. Like, this is impressive. You've done this for the first time.
One thing I'll say, I'm gonna hand this to somebody because I'm literally shaking because my arm is hurting. So the video is like, okay. No, it's not your monitor. Don't adjust your monitor. But I mean, myself, I came up a slightly different way because I was going through pretty much bankruptcy at the time, 5 years ago, and I didn't have the money to get a coach, and I didn't even know coaches existed when I started.
Oh, yeah.
So I literally came across a book that talked about the difference between men and women in some certain ways, and I had a lot of background experience with my ex in Mexican culture, so I was always with my ex, and her sisters were models and their friends. We would always go out, and so I was surrounded by feminine energy. So I'd learned a lot about masculine and femininity, but I began to apply it in a different way. And it was it was a fucking slog, man. I would, for about a year, I would go 6 days a week, 14, 16 hours a day, just pounding the pavement, wandering around, connecting and talking to women and trial and error and how did that work and over and over and over. And I gotta say, man, number one, there was a lot of pain. I'm really good at fixating on one thing and just going for it. But it was a very unwise route because it took so much time, man. A whole year, that's I don't know, 2,500 hours, 3,000 hours or something, right? And if you go, maybe even 4,000 hours. And if you go, if I was paying myself $10 an hour, that's $40,000. And if you were to invest half of that or a quarter of that or whatever into coaching, you would literally get 5 years of growth out of 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 week or whatever you want, right? And plus you get that external observation, that objective observation. This is what you're doing in your body language, in the way you posture yourself, in the way you talk, in your vocal whatever. You actually get somebody else pointing out your shortcomings, and somebody that's got your best interests at heart, right? But you grow so much fucking faster. I mean, it's a way smarter route. I don't take any pride in the fact that I went the other route. I think, man, I lost so much time. I could have been in the sweet spot 2 years earlier, and I could have been, so much further ahead of where I am now. I'm grateful for where I am, but it's not the do-it-yourself route. Number one, most guys are not going to have the stubbornness and the pig-headedness to just keep going through all that pain and rejection at first. So number one, most people are just going to cut it after a certain amount of pain. And number two, even if you're like me and you're pig-headed and you just keep going like a bulldozer, you grow so fucking slow. It's like anything else. Imagine trying to discover how to become an accountant, but you don't want to go to a university to learn from other people, and you don't want to read books about it to learn from other people that are geniuses.
Well,
you want to do everything yourself. You're going to be 30 years.
Imagine trying to learn Krav Maga, because that's what you learned, right?
Yeah.
Imagine trying to learn that by yourself. You go into your garden, right, and you look at a video, and you're like,
with a book.
Yeah, with a book. And you start doing these random movements.
Yeah, and then go get in some fights outside a nightclub and get the shit kicked out of you 20 times. And you learn that you did this wrong and you did this wrong. Yeah. Every time when you put your teeth back in, you're
when we think about that situation, that's so stupid.
That's a good example.
No one would ever do it.
Or any team sports or fitness or nutrition or business, you could fail for years and years and years, and maybe you're the random person who just gets it and can do it perfectly immediately. But if you're gonna be a competitive weightlifter or a boxer, you're not gonna just go start trying to do it. You're gonna go find the best coach you can.
Imagine
and tell me how.
I like your example because of the danger element, right? And there is a danger element in doing Daygame. If you date the wrong person because you're not selective, because you haven't learned that skill, you could lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in a bad divorce. Been there, done that. You come out with post-traumatic stress, and it fucking ruins you as a person until you put yourself back together again. Years of your life, hundreds of thousands of dollars, just because you didn't learn how to filter the bad apples.
Yeah. Actually, that just reminded me of something. So we did a taster session about 3 years ago, and we had like a bunch of guys there. They tried it. A lot of them took up coaching, and some didn't, right? 2 years later, I saw one of the guys that didn't take coaching, right? And I was like, oh, so like, how's it going? How are you doing? Like, where are you at? How's the progress? He was like, man, I'm in the exact same situation as I was when I saw you, 2 years ago. And I was like, bro, that should be proof that you need coaching. Well, he needed to get coaching. And I said, should be, an obvious thing for you. And the problem is, some people are just against it, right?
I think it's largely an ego thing, or if you're in the US or Canada, we have this mindset of like, I pulled myself up entrepreneur by the bootstraps, and I did it my way and I made it work. And it's fucking dumb, man. You look at anybody successful, like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, whatever. These guys are so successful because Elon Musk goes, okay, I'm going to start building rockets or whatever. I need a team of the 10,000 most brilliant people about rockets.
Yeah.
And they're going to help me learn, and I'm going to capitalize off their skills.
Instead of becoming
instead of learning all that shit solely, right?
Well, actually,
science or
and with everything, you go like, I'm going to do a tech startup with this. Okay, I need 10,000 minds that are the most genius at building apps, That's how you get ahead. Like you harness the power of other people's learning experience, right?
So
you grow so much faster.
Yeah, I was reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and there's
that's
a part,
like from like 18 something or right, 1900 or 1800s.
Yeah, you're
right?
talking about like a million years ago.
Exactly.
And
that's when I was born.
There was this part where he talks about Ford and how he became successful. And what was funny is, I can't remember the situation, but he went to court and they started asking him questions about general knowledge. And he knew nothing about general knowledge. He was like, I don't know anything. Because all I do is I press a button, someone comes in and they tell me everything I need to know. If you try to learn everything by yourself, it's stupid. Because all of these guys, Elon Musk, Ford, and all the most successful guys, they don't try to learn everything on their own. Because how long is that going to take you? Like 50 years?
Yeah, you just hire 50 lawyers and 50 accountants and 50 HR guys and 50 whatever.
Yeah.
And you get each of those skills into your pocket, like at a slight charge immediately. Dude, like if you value your time or your life, especially when guys are older, like you're 40, you come out of a divorce, you realize, holy shit, I don't know what I'm doing. How am I going to meet somebody? Don't get into fucking paying girls as escorts or sugar daddies. It's so horrible for your self-esteem. Do not do that. It's a bad shortcut. Instead, get a coach. I don't care if you use me or someone else. If you're in the UK, use him. If you're in wherever, there's coaches. We can set you up with someone. If you're not in Latin America and you're not attracted to Latinas, no worries. My point is not a plug for me. My point is, it shouldn't be a bad thing. Like, you get a specialist when you need a specialist, right? And people do not know how to date properly. This is like a fucking epidemic. And when you know how to date properly, dating's quite easy and quite enjoyable. Yeah. It's incredible. It's amazing. And when you don't know how to date properly, you're at a massive disadvantage getting into the pool with a bunch of sharks, and you're probably going to pick up the wrong shark and get destroyed. Yeah, and when you know what to do, you avoid the 80% that are sharks, and you find those incredible, amazing women that are out there, and you double down your time and energy and have incredible experience with them.
And what I can tell you from my experience, and I'm sure the guys would share their experience too, it's totally worth it, right? Huge. This journey is hard. I always say to my clients, this journey is 10 times harder than what you would imagine, maybe even more. But it's 1,000 times more rewarding.
Huge.
Right?
I don't know of I've never met a student, whether he's been my student or someone else's student. I've never met a guy that said, yeah, you know what, I invested a week into this sort of thing or whatever, and I came out the other side and it sucks, it's a scam, it's a waste of money. I don't know about there's a lot of scams online, right? Yeah. So those are legitimately scams. But if you find a real coach that's actually walking the walk in his own life, and he's got a passion about making men better in their lives, and if you partner up with that guy, I've never met a student of any of my coaching friends that hasn't said exactly like you say, the most incredible thing that transformed my business, my marriage, my family life, the girls I date, the way I think about myself, the way I go to the gym, the way I eat my food, the way I sleep, the way I walk, the way I dress,
literally everything. Literally everything. And that was one of the biggest things about this course and these coaches is that they were going out and doing it. They were setting the example and leading from the front instead of just, oh, well, you should do this, this, and this, and go do it and pay me money. Like, no, they are literally going and making approaches. They are giving giving you an example in all these different environments, all these different situations,
Most people-
living, like
That's the
walking
thing.
the walk, setting the example.
Most people, like for me, okay, for you too, I don't know, our channels are tiny. My channel's tiny. I don't know about your channels, right? But my channel's tiny. I got like 210 followers or something like that, right? Even them, only like 50 of them actually know me and have seen me in person, right? So everybody thinks, oh, it's a scam. They see a picture of me with my girl and they're like, obviously you're paying or you're a sugar daddy. They don't understand what it's actually like when you become extremely masculine, when you integrate it properly, and then you start dating that kind of life. That they don't understand what it's like. Like you literally go to a different city. Now it's different. I'm with Alexa. I'm in love. She's amazing. I'm here in Vegas. I would not do something with any woman that I've seen. I don't want to. She's fucking incredible. I love it. Before I was with Alexa, you go to a different city and you just start meeting people. This is how I've met places where I've rented. You know, like you constantly, you make a new, we just made a good business contact with a club promoter and a guy that does stuff in the music industry. And he's like, oh, I should have you guys coach some stuff for some of my clients, rock and roll stars and whatever. And we were like, yes, please. But my point is, you become more social in this area of your life. You have more control. It's incredible. And that's just how we live. Like literally the other coaches, you go to a new city, you start meeting women and people right away, while you're walking here and while you're going there, and the next night you're going on a date. You walk into you go, oh, I got nothing to do today. A girl stood me up. You go to the mall, you meet a girl, you go for coffee, you're connecting, you go, all of a sudden you got a girlfriend in the city, like over and over and over. For me, that's normative behavior. Like the other guys think, oh, it's a scam. You guys are just faking this or whatever. And that's totally how you've seen how I live my life.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
that's
one thing I do want to mention here is that this is not for everyone, right? We're talking about the 1% of the most attractive, masculine, successful men.
Yeah.
So this is not a journey for everyone. I always say this, and that's the reason. Of course, there's going to be people, oh, this is a scam.
But I
And-
will say, it's not a journey for everyone. I agree, like the 1 or 2% or whatever. But the entrance into that exclusive group is not predefined. It's not white skin. It's not a certain amount of money. It's not who your parents are. It's not your nationality. It's not like all those things. You know, you can get in if you're, but it has to be the guy goes, I want that.
Yeah.
That's really the only
No,
thing. I want that, and I'm willing to do anything to get it.
I'm willing to humble
get it.
myself, challenge my ego, and listen instead of pretending like I can keep doing the same thing and get different results. Like the definition of sanity, like I'm literally not doing anything. Like who am I to say that I shouldn't be listening to somebody else?
Yeah, no, totally. I always say this to my clients, and it's that, you know, as I mentioned before, this is a difficult journey, but it's right. People can do it. Anyone can do it. But is it for everyone? No.
Exactly.
Right? If you make the decision to do it, of course you can do it, right? But again, it's the reason it's not for everyone is because some people, they just, unfortunately, you know, you have the losers and you have the winners. And what we do is we make winners into winners. We don't make losers into winners. That's impossible from my experience, right? The guys I've taught, they always come from a successful mindset, right? Obviously, they might have, you know, some setbacks in the dating life. That's different, but you're usually successful in their career, in their business.
Totally.
Right? And they come from a successful background, and that's what I meant, you know.
Totally.
They have drive, they have the ability to commit and grow in some area of their life, and they're trying to figure out how to apply that to other ways, and they're willing to listen and let you teach them instead of.
That's why my brand is UpperTier, because that's the imagery that I always have in mind. Like the world is very, I forget the word for it, but the world, especially Latin America, the whole fucking world, whether you're in corporate world or whether you're in Canada or the US, wherever, there's a hierarchy. There's always a dominance hierarchy in everything, even in fucking penguins, right? And your choice is, the world in the West right now is saying, oh, there shouldn't be a dominance hierarchy. We should try and all be friends and live under socialism. That's bullshit. Even in socialism and communism, there's a dominance hierarchy, right? So you can't get out of that. What you can do is accept there's a dominance hierarchy. I want to be near the top because the food is just much fucking better there. You know, and if you want to be near the top in the dating world, the good news is almost any guy, there are some guys that maybe have a problem, like 0.1%. But almost any guy can transition into the upper tier, or whatever you want to call it, the top echelon.
Oh, totally.
They can. It just takes
Yeah.
effort. And for you, it might take 3 years. And for you, it took 3.5. And for me, it took 5. And for you, it took 4.
Well,
whatever.
when we
right?
think about where we were at the bottom. You know, I wasn't like, banging, the hottest girls in the world. And then I came into the dating world and improved just improved like 1%. I wasn't getting any results.
Yeah, like me.
And then so I was at the bottom.
Same
right?
exact for me. It was like completely stalled. Like after college, like I didn't even know how to make new friends.
Yeah.
After new friends were going off and getting married and moving away, I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck do I do now? Like everything's like falling apart. Like I need help.
Same boat. Like I was in a really toxic marriage that I left 5 years ago, and lost a lot of my social circle immediately, like 95%. Didn't know how to create new relationships and make mates and my social circle. And I mean, I'd never, up until 5 years ago, I'd never dated a girl younger than me. I don't even think by a day, like always the same age, like society teaches, right? And then to transition from that to like pretty much only dating somebody half my age, and my girlfriend now, 27 years difference, right? But I never lived that before, ever. Like I never had the possibility. It wasn't on the table, right? Now that's just normative behavior. That's how I like to date. That's how I date, right?
Yeah.
And the same for you. You like to date whatever you like to date. Okay, you're empowered. You do it. Right?
Yeah, like right now we're chilling by the pool. That's why we're topless, by the way. And
There is a
earlier
pool over there.
Earlier I actually approached this Brazilian girl and had an amazing conversation. Right, it didn't go anywhere, but it was just a beautiful moment, right? And that's what this is about, right? It's about having these beautiful moments in your life. And one thing I was going to say, because you mentioned about your product, if the guys do want to sign up, because I know a lot of the guys will want to, how can they do that?
What we're doing, the dating club, the Upper Tier Dating Club, we have a group of guys, great guys, that we're constantly in a chat group. We're constantly teaching guys how to respond in different situations, how to become more masculine. And then we also do our boot camps and seminars, and they get access to exclusive content. And I'd love to get to know you guys. We're always building out our community, and it's a lot of fun. It's like I keep saying, the dating is a skill, man.
Yeah, guys, I would totally
doable.
recommend for you to sign up to this course, because actually what I believe in is a coach that does what he says, right? And we actually didn't know each other 5 days ago. And what I saw in these 5 days is that you really do exactly everything that you teach. And that's what my coach, he was one of the best in the world of performing what he says, right? And that's, I think this is really important. If you want to find a good coach, first you need to know that they can actually do what they're saying.
Totally, that I would say is 95% of it. I think I would say 5 or 10% of it you connect well emotionally and you like their style and all that kind of stuff. It jives with you. And 90% get under the surface and go, okay, how does your life look? Like if I wanted a coach to teach me how to do real estate, first question, tell me about your real estate portfolio. You know what? I haven't actually bought any properties yet, but I'm a brilliant genius about real estate. Okay, I'll talk to you in a year or two. I'm not going to take you as a coach because you're not fucking living it, right? But if you want to have an incredible, vibrant relationship with like a hot, sexy little Latina, find a coach that's really good at those types of situations. But now is off the market. The silverfox is committed to one stunning honey. Hi, Alexa. I love you.
Yeah, so just to wrap up this video, Chris, is there anything you want to share with the guys?
For the guys that are like on the edge and like still trying to convince themselves that they can do it on their own, like the reason that you're struggling and it hurts so much is because it's taking so long. And like to have somebody hold you accountable and to help you check your ego and push you out of your comfort zone, because if you want to be pushed, they will push you. And once you get pushed out, your eyes are just like, your eyes are gonna open.
It's like that Matrix moment. Like
It
the
really
whole
is.
world literally transforms, and you're like, it's humbling because you're like, what the fuck? I was doing everything entirely wrong. Over and over.
And
for
nobody
like decades.
And nobody necessarily taught me to do that wrong. So why was I doing that wrong? Why did I think that? And it makes you question what you're doing and think about it in a different way. And once that starts, it turns into like an avalanche of like questioning, what else am I doing wrong? And like it really turns into like this amazing fucking arc of like, how much can I improve? Like, what are all the different areas I can apply this more positive attitude to, not just approaching and connecting, communicating and dating women. And it has an impact on every part of your life.
Oh, it's crazy, man. I remember I was so shy in meetings. I couldn't like speak what I wanted to say. Like I couldn't articulate my ideas. And it was funny because after 3 years of doing this, we were in a meeting. There was a CEO, all these like big guys in the company, and I'm talking about one of the biggest companies in the UK, in the top whatever I think is it S&P? Did they say? Yeah, S&P. And there was like the CEO there, and I start cracking jokes, right? Because what's funny is when you talk to a super hot girl, a CEO is like,
that's easy.
It's like,
you gotta address the boundary with your boss. That's easy.
Exactly.
Your
it's
landlord,
like a piece
simple.
of cake, right? It's like walk in the park, and that's like the side benefits. It's not even the main benefit.
Yeah.
You get more money, you get better relationships, as we talked about. You become happy as a person. I honestly think I'm much more
you have
happier.
so much more control over your life. Like you want to change where you live or your career or whatever. You're empowered.
Oh yeah,
Let's
better relationship with
right?
your family.
Yes,
like right now.
Absolutely. Friends and family.
Yeah.
And like where you're talking about more control, is also learning to stop trying to control the things that you shouldn't be trying to control.
Totally.
Like it's just as much that as it is having more emotional control and personal, like just self-control.
Okay, so Nav, tell me, some of the guys on my channel maybe they're not interested in Latinas, they like Eastern Europeans, or they live in the UK or somewhere in Europe, or they just don't want to come to Colombia because it's not their shtick. Maybe they don't like coffee. But if they drive with you and they want to get coaching in your neck of the woods and the other side of the pond, tell me a little bit about what you're doing. How do they get the free taster session that you told me about, and what do you got going on over there?
Yeah, so I basically help guys transform their dating life. And what I usually do, as I mentioned, I like to actually show my skills as a coach to my future clients first before they commit. So I always do a free taster session.
Nice.
And if you want to book that, you find the link below.
Cool.
Where we can kind of talk about a plan for you to firstly to see where you are right now, and talk about where you can go and how you can actually get there.
Super cool, super cool. Yeah, like what we were talking about before, the idea of actually walking the walk. That's a really cool thing about when I do these boot camps with other coaches. It's a lot of fun because you get to see guys with slightly different style, but that are actually walking the walk in their own lives and learn from each other and learn to have that sort of respect. So yeah, I would totally vouch. He knows his shit and he walks the walk. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up because we're at 33 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So
we've got to go get some beautiful steaks.
If you're still watching this video, you get 10 points. Thanks guys for your time. Take care. We'll chat soon.
Ciao.